I'm very excited to react to and then break down the Space Marine 2 trailer. Let's go.
Company command! This is first platoon! We've lost the square! We can't hold it!
To all of that. Oh no! Games Workshop. They had to go and do it to me. They had to slam my videos for IP infringement on fair use reactions and breakdowns, and they had to charge me too much money in order to build awesome models and paint them, and then they had to ban me from tournaments because my models weren't 100% Games Workshop parts, and I had to go, you know what? Maybe Games Workshop are a bunch of jerks. And I love this universe, but they're putting a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't know if I love it as much as I used to. And then you go and completely redeem yourself. That is a Dumb and Dumber reference for those of you who didn't catch it. And man, is this good? I had given up all hope of a Space Marine sequel. I had forgotten about it. I just, Space Marine is one of my favorite third-person shooter games ever. It's one of my favorite universes. The first time that I ever put on, I remember when it first rolled out, and I put on the jump pack for a demo, and I was like, this is how it should feel. This is how it should sound. This is what it should look like and be. And then I played the multiplayer, and I fell in love with the multiplayer because you had, squad size, like 4v4 games with bolters and heavy bolters and plasma cannons and las cannons and jump packs and melee weapons, and it felt balanced and it felt right. And you could customize your chaos space marine, and you could customize your normal space marine, and it just felt good to be an 8 foot tall genetically engineered super warrior storming down the hallways of an imperial or chaotic or Xenos infested world, and then ripping apart fellow space marines in multiplayer. And the single player and the multiplayer were great, but unfortunately there was no hope of a sequel because the game didn't do that well, and they basically told us, hey, screw off, you're not getting anything, don't worry about it. And then out of nowhere, Dark Tide is looking pretty good. I'm still going to get the Necromunda game and play it eventually once I have a little bit of extra scratching time, lying around. And, there's still so many good things in the universe. I'm wrapping up my Deathwatch army. I'm going to be building an Inquisition army, and there's so many things to do. And then now they just give me this completely delicious, amazing morsel of content, and I am so excited. And they haven't zucked my Angels of Death reaction yet, and you guys will be getting another one tomorrow, and I'll be shooting a Hell's Reach reaction episode after this. So anyways, that's enough of me ranting. Let's break it down. So for those of you who are new, my name is Connor. I'm a science fiction political philosophy nerd. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and a law enforcement veteran, and I use that to inform my breakdowns of media, including Warhammer 40,000. There's plenty of third-party content and regular content on the channel. You should go ahead and check out the Warhammer playlist. But if you're into politics or debate or yelling or anything like that, then you should go check out the rest of the stuff. So we already reacted. For the people who like reactions, you should have already gotten your thing sussed out, and now we're here for the people who want the meat and potatoes. So let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. So slightly less loud, lower volume. Let's pause on frames. Let's look at what we're seeing, and let's break down what we're seeing. Yes. So we have 3 Thunderhawk troop transporters going down to the planet, which means that they can bring a lot. I mean, I think each one of those can transport between 20 and 40 Marines. And not only that, but they're transporting Primaris, which is awesome. Hopefully in the rules soon, we will have some transport rules for Primaris Space Marines and first generation, firstborn transports. But either way, those are large transporters. We have Tyranids. The reason why the orcs keep being picked as villains in games and media over and over again is because they're very easy to break down. They're a generic enemy. They're a horde army. They're funny and fun and interesting while also still being a little slapsticky. So the orcs are a good opponent. But what I didn't even think about until I saw Termagants and Hormagaunts, the way that the old Space Marine 2012 video game, which you should absolutely download and buy and play, is you'll get swarmed by squigs filled with explosives, which are like little 2-legged dog creatures for the orcs. You'll get swarmed by, I forget what the little dude, grots. You get swarmed by grots, just little tiny dudes. You get swarmed by boys, which are just like mainline orc infantry, and then you'll go up to the bosses and the brutes and the heavier hitters and all that kind of stuff. And I really like the way they did Chaos Space Marines in that game as well, where with the Chaos they introduced them with the demons, which are melee characters who can kind of teleport around, and they're difficult to hit unless you have instantaneous weaponry. And then you can also fight off against the Chaos Space Marines, who have similar skills to you and are a little bit beefier, but then they hit you with swarms of Chaos Trader guardsmen or Chaos Trader militia. That's awesome because you can keep the flow of battle by fighting the hordes and then fighting beefier targets, which is also kind of how it's similarly described in the tabletop as like these swarms, monsters and creatures and all that kind of stuff. What I didn't realize at the time was I was like, wow, it would be difficult to incorporate other factions. Nope, it's not. The Tyranids are the perfect faction because, yes, they do have terrifying warriors, which we'll see in a bit. They do have terrifying psychic headquarters creatures. And they do have gene stealers who are fast and terrifying and all that kind of stuff. But they also have Termagants and Hormagaunts, which are horde, which are smaller, which are easier to dispatch. And so you can replicate the gameplay mechanic of the previous game into this one, where you'll probably mow through Termagants and Hormagaunts, but then get to Gene Stealers, which can be more challenging, fast, dodgy melee characters, and you can get to Warriors and Hive Tyrants and all that kind of stuff, and Endocrines and Exocrines, and I'm not as familiar with the Tyranids, but basically to say there's a bug for every role. There's heavy artillery, there's psychic, there's headquarters, there's melee, there's the tiny little bug guys, and this would be I think the Termagants have the guns and the Hormagaunts have the just the claws. But no matter what, you can have the horde gameplay and then move into beefier characters, which we'll see in a second. So yeah, Tyranids. I know I didn't introduce them properly, but they're basically Starship Troopers bugs. That's all you really need to know. Like Starship Troopers bugs with different roles. They're a hive mind. They're a horde. They consume biomass. They come in these big, massive ships. They send their spores down onto the planet. They crash into the planet. They start killing and eating everything. They turn it all into liquid biomass. They build this giant stomach-like pit that turns into a spire that goes up into the sky, and then that spire connects with the ships. The biomass is pushed into this giant stomach or stomachs across the surface of the planet. All of the planet's biomass is pumped into the hive ships for creating new Tyranid warriors, and then the warriors that are on the ground sacrifice themselves they throw themselves into the acidic pit and allow themselves to be dissolved, so they in turn can be fuel for their future cousins that are going to conquer other planets. So yeah, absolutely terrifying, absolutely horrifying. I don't know, orcs are a little bit humorous sometimes. I don't think there's going to be very much humor in this one. So let's keep it moving. Yes.
Company command! This is first platoon! We've lost the square! We can't hold it!
Yes. So, I don't know if this is a lieutenant or what. I forget the markings or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because we have a Primaris bolt rifle. We have a Primaris assault bolt rifle, I want to say. So basically, this one is rapid fire too. It's like the standard bolt rifle, and then this is the assault bolt rifle, where they put on a drum magazine so you can keep firing, and it's basically meant to be fired from the hip or like on the move and all that kind of stuff. So the cool thing is they're already showing that you're going to be able to use variants, and then you got the Astartes chainsword, which is capable of slicing through everything. And while it's like, show me the power weapon, show me the thunder hammer and the power axe and all that kind of stuff, they can't titillate us too much. And then by the visor, you can tell that these are Primaris Space Marines, and by the colors, you can tell that these are ultramarines, which is unfortunate, but we'll forgive them for this. So Primaris, for those of you who are completely new to the lore and you just have no idea what the hell I've been talking about for the past 10 minutes, Space Marines were already a thing within the Games Workshop Warhammer 40,000 universe. They were 8-foot-tall, genetically engineered super soldiers who were capable of taking on the horrors of the galaxy with humanity oftentimes on the back foot of alien races or demonic-infested humans known as Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Cultists. So the Imperial Guard, the guys in the green flak vests who seem to be getting their asses kicked by the Tyranids, those are the line troopers, and they literally number in the billions or the trillions. That there's trillions of guardsmen across the galaxy who are all trying to hold the line, but they can't because the horrors of this universe are so deep and dark and scary. So the Emperor, in his wisdom, 10,000 years or 12,000 years prior to this incident, he created the Super Warriors, and specifically he created the Space Marines, the Firstborn being the first, probably like the third or fourth iteration of superhuman that was available through the lore. But in, I forget the exact year, but it's like M41 or something like that. So it's the 41st millennia. It might be around the year 900 or something like that. But Belisarius Call, who was a tech priest, we can get into them a different day. He basically releases a new design along with the rebirth of Roboot Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines. God damn, there's so many things to like needle into, but basically they release updated Marines that are like a foot taller. They have stronger bones. They got more wounds. They're a little bit tougher. They're a little bit smarter. They're a little bit faster. And while that was controversial in the lore, for the tabletop, they released better miniatures, better little plastic guys for you to paint. So if you want to get into the hobby, the rule set is not quite as good as like 8th edition. I think 9th edition is a little bit more messier than 8th edition for the rule sets. But at the same time, it's a good time to get into the hobby because they're updating all the plastic lines. They just updated orcs recently. They updated Necrons. They updated Sisters of Battle. They updated the Space Marines with the Primaris Space Marines line. So there's plenty. Sorry, I skipped ahead. There's plenty to see and do in this universe. And if you want to get into the tabletop, now is a great time to do it. And there's so much lore for you to do. Again, I very much recommend you getting onto the Warhammer playlist when you're done with this. And I don't care if I take forever. The reaction's already done. You're with me for the breakdown. Suck it up and stick with me. So, so let's break down one more thing before we move on. The Ultramarines, okay? So for Space Marines, there's 20 legions. 2 of them disappeared before any of the history takes place, and they're known as like the purged and the forgotten. So there's 2 legions of Space Marines that you don't even need to worry about. They're thrown into the histories. Nobody even knows about them, and that's on purpose to keep the lore kind of ambiguous. But for the 18 known legions, 9 of them turned traitor, 9 of them are loyalist, and the Ultramarines are the loyalist 13th Legion. They're the poster boys of the Games Workshop universe. They're the poster boys and most stable of gene seed of all the loyalist Space Marines. They are aesthetically and culturally very similar to Romans. They build culture. They help human beings thrive in civilizations. They own and manage and run one of the few areas in the Warhammer 40,000 universe that's actually manageable and survivable, which is the realm of Ultramar. And yeah, so, 13 is an unlucky number, but I learned this historical fact the other day. The legion that crossed the Rubicon River with Julius Caesar was the 13th Legion. And I don't think it's by any mistake that the Roman aesthetics have been copied over to the Ultramarines, and they're the 13th Legion. So let's move into the violence now. Do I get to disrespect a Tyranid Hive Warrior like that? If so, I will give you $60 right now. let me just let me just look it up real quick. Make sure that that's a Hive Warrior, because I know there's probably some Tyranid purists who are Tyranid Tyranid Warrior. Oh my god, wife, I'm busy. Yeah, looks like a warrior. So, anyways, the warrior has bone swords, which are capable of cleaving flesh and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, the Termagants or the Hormagaunts, I forget which one. I think they're Hormagaunts. When the Primaris Space Marines first drop off, they actually back off a little bit. That's not typical for a Tyranid. Tyranids are typically fearless, and they're fearless particularly when they're by a synapse creature, which is basically like a boss because they're a hive mind. And so if a synapse creature is killed, then the sub-creatures, like the Termagants and the Hormagaunts, they will kind of go feral, and they'll start doing their own thing and acting like normal animals. But if the but if a synapse creature is nearby, which I almost guarantee you the Tyranid Warrior is, if they will share the emotional reaction instincts and attack instincts as the main creature, and a Tyranid Warrior probably isn't scared of Space Marines, but at the same time, what was interesting was watching the Termagants and the Hormagaunts back off a little bit, which actually, while not lore friendly, I still think is a cool detail. That would actually indicate that the Warrior had a little bit of hesitation when he saw Primaris Space Marines, because the hive creatures that are part of the synaptic range, they backed off a little bit before going on the attack. So that actually showed that the Tyranid Warrior was like, oh shit, Primaris Space Marines. And then, I gotta say, I've always been terrified of Tyranids. I think it's safe to be terrified by Tyranids, considering they're literally creatures who will rip your guts out and then, like, put their babies inside you and let you, get ripped apart as you're still kind of half alive, and they'll consume your flesh and throw you into a pit so your biomass can be harvested in order to fuel their intergalactic conquest. I think that's fair to be terrified of. But if I get to kill warriors with that level of ease, where I can just block some bone sword, do some wounds, block some bone swords, pull out a heavy bolt pistol, put one in their kneecap, take advantage of that, gut them, and rip their head out, I'm good. I'm a happy camper. All right, let's keep it moving. Yes. Look at the helmet. The helmet used to look like Darth Vader. Now it looks like that with the visor slit, or the breather slits. Okay. I hate the new jump pack. I hate it. The old jump packs look so much better. I'm so annoyed with this, like, 4-nozzled monstrosity that has extra nozzles for no reasons, but I am happy that I get to use it. So even if it's ugly, I don't care. Primaris have, like, mixed aesthetics. Basically, like, I do like the helmet more, but I don't feel like it's as in line as the original aesthetic. And then Captain Titus kind of looked like this. The principal character, who was, basically taken off by the Inquisition under suspicion of heresy, he kind of looked like this, but I'm not confident enough to say that this is Titus. One, he's Primaris, and becoming Primaris as a firstborn Marine carries like a 20% chance or 30% chance or 50% chance, depending on who you are, of not surviving the additional genetic enhancement process. 4 gold service studs does indicate a shitload of service, though. And then Titus did kind of have a similar visage, so I could see that this would be like a updated version of Titus, but these are also new scars. I can't tell. I don't know if this is Titus or not. I'll wait for confirmation. It could be a new Primaris lieutenant or Primaris captain or Primaris whatever. But it doesn't matter. If it's Titus, I would love to fight as that character again. If it's not Titus, then I'm perfectly excited to go to war with this new character. Excited about the new jump pack and murdering hordes and hormigons and termagants and Astartes chainswords and bolt rifles and all this shit. I am fudging pumped. So anyways, thank you for watching. I love this with my whole heart. I hope I am as giddy as I was when I first reviewed Astartes, because this is a great night for me. It was already a pretty good day. Now it's a great night. So, if you enjoyed this, please go check out the rest of my content. If you like politics and debates and people yelling at each other on the internet, I have plenty of stuff like that for you. If you like Warhammer or science fiction or war and violence in particular, I've done a series of media breakdowns like End of Watch, which is an excellent law enforcement movie, Full Metal Jacket, which is a great war movie. I'm currently working on Fury, which is an excellent World War II movie. I have a whole bunch of Warhammer and science fiction breakdowns you should absolutely check out. And then now we have this. So I am excited. Absolutely pumped. What a great night. So I appreciate y'all. Like, share, subscribe, dislike all that YouTube nonsense, and I'll catch you in the next one. I appreciate you. Have a great night. Bye.